The first day she worked on my hair, my eyebrows, and my nails, both fingers and toes. She fixed long nails to my fingers. They were a dark shade, and she pierced my ears. You won't be able to take them out for 4 weeks, so think carefully, Belinda said. Studs or hoops? Hoops. Good choice, she said. The rest of the grooming was uncomfortable, and I'll only say this. I cried more that day than I ever had before. At last, after being corseted and styled, Belinda allowed me to see myself. I was stunned. Wow, was all I could say. I don't believe it myself, she said softly, staring at the reflection. Do you think, I began hesitantly, that I'm believable? Belinda laughed loudly. You're kidding, aren't you? She seized my shoulders and kissed my cheek, still laughing as she did so. Chris, you are beautiful and full of charm. I hugged her and sat down, an extraordinary feeling running through me that I couldn't quite describe. Mark arrived with banging doors and a big smile when he saw me. Yonder, what beauty do I see? Stop it, I said in my female voice, and he laughed. Have you a name, fair maiden? It's too early, I need to think a bit more. Any ideas? Belinda asked. One, I admitted. And? Mark posed like a showman and I laughed. Okay. I thought of Catherine Lawrence. Oh, Mark purred, very regal. I like it, but I will call you Cate. I turned to Belinda, who was watching us both carefully. What do you think, Belinda? Me? She seemed startled. I like it, she said slowly. It has a good sound. Then Catherine Lawrence it is, I pronounced, and Belinda looked at me strangely, but smiled. Mark put his hand on my shoulder and his expression was suddenly serious. Cate, he said, using my new name for the first time. I have a friend downstairs. She's a doctor and very understanding, if you know what I mean. A doctor. Chris, you'll need some support to get through this. Medicine? I don't do medicine, I said primly. Belinda took my hand. I think he's talking about professional guidance. Mark waited as I looked from one to the other. Will you talk to her? I nodded dumbly and moments later, Mark brought a woman of Indian descent, dressed in plain dark trousers and jacket, carrying a leather bag. This is Helen Waters, Mark introduced her, and we nodded at her. And you're Chris, Helen said, walking over to Belinda and offering her hand. To give Belinda credit, she laughed. I think I've been mistaken somehow. No, she said, taking Helen's hand, I'm Belinda. I cleared my throat. I'm Chris, I said carefully, still using the female voice, as it was becoming a habit. I prefer Cate or Catherine now. Helen stared for a moment and then shrugged with a small smile. Hello, Cate. Is there a room we could use? I led the way into my small bedroom and shut the door. She sat with me and asked gently, I understand you're stepping into a new role, yes? Yes, I said truthfully, though my heart pounded. Good, it's easier to take one step at a time. What matters is that you feel comfortable and supported. She asked me a series of questions about my health, my voice training, and how I was handling the changes. It felt strange to be treated so seriously, but her calm tone helped. Finally, she smiled warmly. You look wonderful as Cate. Truly. I'll give you some recommendations for staying healthy and making the most of your preparation. She handed me her card. And I'd like to see you again in a few weeks to make sure you're adjusting well. Okay, doctor. She laughed. Please call me Helen. As Mark was showing Helen out, Belinda came quickly to my side. You all right? Yes. Did you decide? I agreed to follow her advice and check in regularly, I said softly. Are you sure? Yes, I admitted, and I was. Thanks for asking, Belinda. The next few weeks were stressful. We worked on everything, the way I walked, the way I spoke, and the way I sat. She was constantly correcting me until I sat naturally in skirts. Belinda made me walk up and down in heels until I complained that my feet hurt. Good, she said calmly. That's normal. Belinda would go downstairs to take classes, leaving me to practice. I dressed and undressed so many times that putting on female clothes became second nature. Sometimes she would slip upstairs to check on me or to watch me. Other times, she had me act as the telephone receptionist for her school so I could get used to my voice, talk to other women on the phone, and learn natural inflections. At night, she took over the small kitchen and made us a meal. After a day or two of sitting idly while she worked, I stood, smoothing my skirt down and asked hesitantly, Belinda, can I help? She glanced at me. If you want, can you peel potatoes? I think I can manage, I said with a smile, and she laughed. Time for shopping, Belinda announced one morning. Outside. I gasped, and she smiled. You can't keep wearing my clothes forever. They don't suit you at all. Yes, she said firmly, we're going shopping. Mark is paying, and we're going in heels. When we arrived at the shops, I noticed a man staring, and I whispered to Belinda, that man knows, he's watching me. Panic rose inside me. Belinda glanced over and laughed. Don't be silly. He's staring because he's just seen a beautiful woman. Don't, I whispered, blushing. I looked over at him through my lashes and he suddenly smiled. Oh, I said in a small voice. Tease. Belinda laughed. Come on. It was wonderful and great fun. We went from shop to shop and Belinda helped me select the right clothes. We didn't go overboard, just enough to get through to the audition. I didn't let myself think about what would happen after. We sat in a coffee shop, bags around us, sipping coffee and laughing. It felt right, natural, even though we both complained about our aching feet. It was the little nuances of the character I enjoyed, the way I looked when listening, the interest I generated in conversation, the simple act of emerging from a taxi. I loved every minute of it. It was becoming my greatest performance, yet I felt natural. Belinda surprised me that night when we got home from shopping. Mark had not been around for a week as he was performing in Europe, but he had rung to say he had convinced Lucy to arrange an audition for Catherine Lawrence. The meal we had prepared together was simple, and Belinda surprised me by opening a bottle of white wine. A celebration, she said. You're doing so well. Thank you, I said with a shy smile. It's all thanks to you, I'm hopeless without you. Belinda blushed and started spooning the pasta onto the plates. We were eating when she suddenly said, Cate, I think you're doing really well. It's fantastic. You're fantastic. I laughed self-consciously as I picked at my food. Stop, it'll go to my head. You're the teacher, I'm just the student. Belinda smiled and I put some music on. As I sat down, smoothing my skirt under me unconsciously, I saw she was toying with her food. What's on your mind, Belle? I asked, using the nickname I had started to think of her by. She looked at me with surprise and then seemed to make up her mind about something. Well, yes, you and Mark. What? Belinda sipped her wine and looked away. You're friends. Yes, we are, I said, running my fingers around the rim of the glass, getting used to the long fingernails. What are you saying? I tilted my head and gave her a playful pout. Can you tell me what's on your mind? Belinda laughed at that. You are wicked. You'll get what you want with that look. Have you any idea the effect you'll have? I shook my head slowly, and she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Poor dear, you have no idea, do you? Belle, I said firmly, forget that. I'm worried you have some concerns. What were you saying about Mark and me? Yes, we are friends. We met at a drama class. She raised an eyebrow. Just friends? Of course. I don't know what you mean. Not more than that? I was startled. It had never occurred to me. Belinda, I think, saw that immediately. I'm sorry, Cate, she said quickly. I shouldn't have asked. Forget I said anything. No, I said slowly, there is a puzzle, isn't there? She nodded and I cleared the table, rinsing the plates before loading the dishwasher. Why is he doing this? I looked steadily at her. Why are you doing this, Belle? Belinda held her wine glass up and twirled it. Why are you doing this? You know that. Tell me again. I thought deeply before answering. This is my opportunity to be a real actor. It's crazy, surreal even, but it's my only chance. I know it is, so I'm going to take it. That's good, she said, looking away. Belle? I said after a moment. What? Is it wrong that I'm really enjoying it? She was stunned, I could see it, but I pressed on. I hope we're friends, I feel we are, I said in a rush. Maybe it's just me, but I feel I can trust you. Belle, I feel marvelous. I feel really alive and free. Really? She asked quietly. Yes, I nodded furiously. You enjoy being a woman? I thought deeply about that, and maybe it was the wine, but I answered honestly. I am a woman, I said solemnly. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and squeezed my hand. I think you're pretty marvelous, Cate. I laughed. Thank you, but you still haven't told me why you're going to all this trouble. Touché. Belle sipped her wine. I can't stand Richard Hawkins. He dislikes me too, so I guess it's mutual. Why? I don't like him either, but dislike is one thing. Hate seems stronger. I know, but I really do. Her face clouded over and I reached over to take her hand. There's a story there, isn't there? Tell me, Belle, I said softly, and she smiled weakly. I was styling and dressing Elaine Plummer. She was in Romeo and Juliet. I remember, although I thought she was a little old for Juliet. Belle laughed. I agree, but don't tell her. Elaine was never good at choosing the right material. Anyway, Belle said with a deep breath, my boyfriend Peter was working in Europe and Richard cornered me at a party. I turned him down, but it got awkward. That's awful. Hawkins spread a rumor that we'd had an affair. Of course, I told Peter it wasn't true, but Hawkins swore otherwise when Peter confronted him. I saw tears trickling from Belle's eyes and I squeezed her hand. We broke up, and later when I tried to start my own business, Hawkins persuaded all my clients to go to another stylist, someone he was involved with. So, she said brightly, eyes glistening, that's why I can't forgive him. I stood up and hugged her tightly. Then I can't stand him either, I whispered. By the end of the third week, I was doing my own hair and makeup every morning, and it was now a habit. We couldn't remember the last time I slipped out of my Cate voice or when my movements seemed masculine. Belinda took me to her jazz exercise classes, and I found I had no trouble fitting in. I frankly enjoyed the company of the women, and not one of them guessed anything, so my confidence was growing.